Om Namo Narayana, welcome back. Today we are reading the Katha Rudra Upanishad, a fairly short Upanishad compared to many, so will you please join me? The gods, it is said, requested of the venerable Brahma, "Venerable sir, impart to us the spiritual knowledge." God replied, "After removing the hair, including the tuft, and discarding it, and after removing the sacred thread, looking at one sun, the following shall be uttered. Thou art the scripture, thou art the sacrifice, thou art Vasatkara, thou art the syllable Om, thou art Svaha, thou art Svada, thou the doer, and thou the creator." Then the sun shall say, "I am the syllable Om, thou art Svaha, thou art Svada, I am the scripture, I am the sacrifice, I am the Vasatkara, I am the syllable Om, I am Svaha, I am Svada, I am the doer, and I am the creator, I am the divine architect, I am the base." These are the words to be uttered while parting from the sun. Who shall not shed tears? Should he shed tears, the line of progeny will be broken. Circumambulating clockwise his village and not looking at anything, he shall depart. Such a one is fit for the world of Brahman. After studying the Vedas as a celibate student and performing the duties prescribed in the scriptures, after marrying and begetting sons, and providing them with suitable means, having performed sacrifices according to ability, he who has been permitted by elders and relatives shall take to renunciation. Reaching the forest, he shall perform the Agnihotra sacrifice for 12 nights by pouring oblations of milk into the fire. For 12 nights he shall subsist on milk. At the end of 12 nights, the wooden vessels, being no more of use, shall be offered to the fire with the following mantra. This is the oblation of cooked rice to the Vaishvanara fire to Prajapati. This is the oblation appointed in 3 potsherds to Vishnu and Agni. The clay pots shall be consigned to the waters. The metal ones shall be given to the teacher with the mantra, "May you not desert me while parting from me. May I not desert you while I part from you." He shall prostrate before the 3 fires, the household fire, the southern fire, and the fire in which the oblations are offered. Some say that he shall consume a handful of ashes from the place where the fire kindling sticks stand. After removing the hair, including the tuft, and discarding it, he shall abandon the sacred thread in the waters with the mantra Ba Sava. Therefore he shall resort to starvation, or drowning in water, or entering fire, or betake himself to the battlefield. Or he shall journey forward until he falls and dies, or he shall enter a hermitage of elderly ascetics. That milk which he takes in the morning is his morning offering, that of the new moon day, the new moon day sacrifice, that of the full moon day sacrifice, the shaving of the hair, beard, etc., and cutting of nails in the spring compromise his Agnishtoma sacrifice. After renunciation, he shall not resume the fire rituals. He shall recite the spiritual mantra, "For I have become death, and would enter that which is coming into being," while saying, "Welfare to all beings." And, contemplating the self and naught else, lifting up the arms, he shall be one who has abandoned the usual path. He shall move about without any fixed abode. He shall subsist on alms, and shall not give any gift. He shall not wear even scant apparel, save during the rainy season for the protection of the animal body. Here are the verses that support this. The water pot, the ladle, the sling to carry his effects, the staff, footwear, covering to protect the cold, the loincloth, the garment to cover the body, the ring of kusha grass, the bath towel, as well as the upper cloth, the sacred thread and scriptures, all these an ascetic shall renounce. With purified water he shall bathe and wash, and also drink of the same. He shall sleep on the sands of a river bank or in temples. He shall not make the body endure the extremes of comfort or hardship. He shall not exult when praised, nor curse others when blamed. The one who bears a staff shall be unfalteringly firm in celibacy, looking at, touching, sporting, talking about, entering into secret dialogue, imagining, thinking about, or physical enjoyment with women. That is what the learned call the eightfold cohabitation. Brahmacharya is the contrary. It should be observed by those who seek liberation. The self-effulgent light which illuminates the world ever shines. It is indeed the witness of the world, the self of all, pure in form, the basis of all beings, whose nature is pure consciousness. Not by action, not by begetting children, not by anything else, only by knowing Brahman, man attains Brahman. That Brahman which is without a second, and which is truth, knowledge, and happiness, is the object of real knowing. The best of the twice born, who know Brahman residing in the cave, which is called the highest heaven, during his transmigratory existence known as illusion, ignorance, etc., attain all desired things instantaneously. He who realizes his own self, which is the witness of the power called ignorance and illusion, knowing I am Brahman alone, becomes Brahman itself. From the self which is the one with Brahman, and which is possessed of power, arose the manifest ether, like a rope serpent. Then from the ether emerged the unmanifest touch, which is named air. Then from air emerged fire, from fire water, and from water the earth. Then after dividing and compounding all those subtle elements into five, from them alone the auspicious Lord created the cosmic egg. Enfolded in the cosmic egg are gods, anti-gods, yakshas, kinnaras, human beings, animals, birds, etc., in accordance with the result of their own actions. The bodies of beings which appear in the form of a framework of bones, sinews, etc., is the self of the nature of food for the all-pervading self. Then, further within, is the self of prana, split into five. Still further within is the self of nature of mind, which is different from the others. Next, even further within and different, is the self of the nature of knowledge. Then in an interior distinct is the self of the nature of bliss. That self of the nature of food is pervaded by the self of the nature of vital energy. Similarly, the self of vital energy is by the nature pervaded by the self of the nature of mind. The mind self is pervaded by self of knowledge. The ever happy self of the nature of knowledge is always pervaded by bliss. In the same way, the self of bliss is pervaded by Brahman, the witness, the innermost of all. Brahman is not pervaded by anything else. By realizing directly this Brahman, which is named the support, which is of the nature of truth, knowledge, and non-duality, the essence, the joy, the eternal, the dweller in the body, becomes happy everywhere. Wherefrom otherwise can there be happiness? If the supreme bliss, which is the very self of all beings, were not existent, which human being can be alive? Who can ever be active? Therefore it is this being, shining fully in the consciousness, that ever makes happy the individual self, which is otherwise full of sorrow. Only when the great ascetic realizes his complete unity, without any difference from this, which is described as unseen, he attains total fearlessness. This is the ultimate good, supreme immortality, absolute existence, transcendent Brahman, beyond the three divisions of time. When an individual experiences even a slight difference in this identity, he will have fear, there is no doubt. Because of this sheath of bliss, from God, Vishnu, to a pillar, all always realize happiness, though in different degrees. For him who is versed in the Scriptures, disinterested in attaining any position, and happy, the bliss, which is his very nature, shines forth by itself. It is well known that the world functions dependent upon a base. Because of the absence of any such base, words recoil from Brahman. For how can the world function in respect of the absolute bliss devoid of any base? This subtle mind, which makes all things its object, turns back from that from which retreats also the senses, hearing, touch, sight, etc., as well as the organs of action. They are not capable of reaching the supreme. Realizing that Brahman, which is bliss without a second, devoid of attributes, the solidarity of truth and consciousness as one's own self, one fears not. He who knows thus from the teaching of his guru, who becomes master of himself, never suffers from the impact of good or bad actions. The whole world, which appeared formerly as the inflictor and the inflicted, now shines as one's own self, owing to the knowledge arising from the Vedantic teaching. The pure Brahman, God, the individual self, the knower, the means of knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the result, thus for empirical purposes, is the sevenfold distinction made. The consciousness devoid of the condition of Maya is termed pure. When related to the cosmic nescience, it is God. Under the influence of the individual nescience, it is the individual self. When related to the internal organ, it is called the knower. In relationship with the modifications of the internal organ, it is called the means of knowledge. The consciousness which is not known is termed object, and the consciousness which is known is called result. The intelligent man should meditate upon his own self as devoid of all conditioning. He who knows this in reality becomes Brahman itself. Now, I speak of the true essence of the teaching of all Vedanta, dying oneself, becoming oneself, one yet remains oneself. And thus ends this Upanishad, which actually echoes a lot of things we have read before. Though it says a lot, and in a rather compact way, there is some great sentences in here. I love this one. That Brahman which is without a second, and which is truth, knowledge, and happiness, is the object of real knowing. Right there, that's all you need to know. That's all you need to gather from what we've just read, if nothing else.